Humphrey DeForest Bogart, commonly known as Humphrey Bogart, December 25, 1899 – January 14, 1957, is a legendary American film actor. Although he won the Academy Award for Best Actor but was considered one of Hollywood's best actors, he was the head of the American Film Institute's 100 film star list. Bogart's memorable films are The Maltese Falcon, 1941, Casablanca, 1942, To Have and Have Not, 1944, and The African Queen, 1951. In total, he has appeared in 75 movie films. It is noteworthy that although there is a long-time actor stage participating in the movie type B or receiving the supporting role, but as soon as receiving the role of land, Bogart quickly grasped and became one of Hollywood's biggest stars of all time. Humphrey DeForest Bogart was born in New York City on Christmas Day between December 25, 1899. Humphrey was the eldest of Belmont's family DeForest Bogart and Maud Humphrey. Bogart's birthday has been a controversial topic for a long time because many people believe that genuine Warner Brothers had thought of his birthday coinciding with Christmas to romance the actor's biography because he was born almost a year earlier on January 23, 1899. This hypothesis was later denied. For although he did not have a birth certificate, Humphrey's date of birth appeared in a Boston paper in early January 1900, which supported the Hollywood star born around December 1899, rather than a 1 year earlier. Bogart's last wife, actress Lauren Bacall, also later dated December 25th, is her husband's birthday. Humphrey's father, Belmont, is a talented surgeon, and his mother is a famous industrial painter. So the Bogart family lived very well in an apartment on the Upper West Side and had a private home in rural New York. Bogart was educated at Trinity School and then at the prestigious Phillips Academy Preparatory School in Andover, Massachusetts, hoping to enter Yale University. However, Bogart was expelled from the Phillips Academy in 1918. There are several hypotheses to explain this. Some claim that Bogart had thrown the principal down to the lake in the dormitory. Others mentioned that Bogart regularly smoked and drank while scoring poorly and inappropriately with the teacher. In the fall of 1918, Bogart joined the United States Navy. During his active career, he had a famous scars and gradually formed a very special voice in later films. After leaving the Army, Bogart began his career in theater in 1921 with roles in the Brooklyn Theater. He had never studied acting or been trained regularly, so he was often uneducated and had to take small roles. From 1922 to 1935, Bogart participated in at least 17 Broadway musicals. In 1934, Bogart took part in the play Invitation to a Murder. His role was noted by producer Arthur Hopkins, and Hopkins introduced Bogart to the new work of Robert E. Sherwood, The Petrified Forest. When Bogart came to Hopkins's office, he immediately said, "I have a good role for you." Robert Sherwood also sat there claiming that Hopkins's choice was false because Bogart's appearance was only appropriate for American football players. Bogart later said, "They started arguing, and I thought Sherwood was probably right. I could not imagine myself playing a part of you." The Petrified Forest, however, ended up being a huge success for Bogart with 197 live shows in New York alone. The big man of Hollywood, Warner Brothers, immediately bought the rights to The Petrified Forest for the film, and Bogart was given the role of Leslie Howard, the lead character in the play, and his friend as Duke Manty. This is Bogart's first acting role in a career, and he never forgets how it's helped. In 1952, Bogart named his only daughter, Chesley, after his friend Leslie Howard, who died in World War II. Robert E. Sherwood then continues to be Bogart's best friend. In 1936, the film version of The Petrified Forest was released with good reviews for Humphrey Bogart. However, shortly thereafter he was crucified with a sibling in the Warner Brothers crime series. In total, in the series, Bogart had to sit on the back seat 12 times, taking 800 years in prison with a simple argument from boss Wayner, Jack Warner. As long as the film earns money, the actor is paid. There is no reason for people to complain at all. Dark Victory, 1939, one of Bogart's last films to play a supporting role in 1938. Warner Brothers give Bogart a supporting role in Swing Your Lady. A year later, as a mad scientist in The Return of Dr. X. At the heyday, Hollywood studios often sign exclusive contracts with actors. Bogart is an actor with a big label, Warner Brothers Pictures, and its producers have no intention of making him a new Hollywood star. He often has to take improper supporting roles, if not for the role. Exclusive actors can be suspended from contract and stop acting, but Bogart is still working hard for a period of 5 years. Between 1936 and 1940, he filmed a film starring James Cagney, Edward G. Robinson, Victor McLaglen, George Raft, and Paul Muni. High Sierra, 1941, is a film directed by Raoul Walsh, directed by John Huston, a friend of Bogart, adapted from the novel by William R. Burnett. It was this film that gave Bogart a breakthrough role, which was the villain, Crazy Dog, by Roy Earle. Although still dead at the end of the film, but thanks to The Land, Humphrey Bogart began to be fan favorite. Paul Muni and George Raft were the actors who refused the role that Bogart later received in the High Sierra. In 1941, Bogart was casted again by the Raft in his first John Huston film, The Maltese Falcon, 1941. Bogart has performed very well and quickly conquered the audience with the image of a spooky, violent Sam Spade, just handsome, intelligent, and always the last survivor. When Sam Spade recognized his charming client as the killer, he immediately handed her to the police and said, "I do not care who loves anyone. I cannot hide you. I killed Miles and you have to pay." I hope people will not hang you up with this beautiful neck. If you're lucky, I'll be released after 20 years and I'll be back. If people hang you, I will always remember you. Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca. It was not until 1942 that Bogart made his first true romantic appearance as Rick Blaine in the legendary Casablanca, a comic by Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman's Michael Curtiz. It has since become one of the most famous couples in film history. Surprisingly, in real life, during the performance of Casablanca, Bergman and Bogart are two harsh words. Swedish actress commented on his co-star, "I kiss him, but I never understood him." Many years later, when they meet again, Bogart says, "You were a big star. What are you now?" Bergman replied, "A happy woman." Ingrid Bergman is now married to Italian director Roberto Rossellini and has a child. Casablanca won the Best Picture Oscar in 1943 and was later considered one of the best films of American cinema, but neither Bogart nor Bergman won the same categories. Be nominated. In 1951, Bogart starred opposite Katharine Hepburn in The African Queen, directed by her best friend John Huston. In the context of Africa, filming took place very hard when all the crew, except Bogart and Huston, suffered from dysentery. Bogart explained, "I built a solid wall of scotch to separate myself from the insects. Any mosquito that burned me would die of drunkenness." The African Queen is Bogart's first Technicolor color film. He later starred in other color films, The Cane Mutiny, The Barefoot Contessa, We're No Angels, and The Left Hand of God. The role of Charlie Elnett gave Humphrey the only Oscar Gold in his career in 1951 for the main male role. Prior to the award ceremony, Bogart had told his friends that if he was the winner, he would break the convention of thanks for accepting the award because "I owe nothing to anyone. Work hard and focus on the role." But in the end, Humphrey Bogart also thanked John Huston, Katharine Hepburn, and the crew. In 1954, Bogart plays Captain Quig in a brilliant way in Edward Dmytryk's The Cane Mutiny. Also in this year he had two other subtle roles in Sabrina, directed by Billy Wilder. He paired with another screen legend, Audrey Hepburn, and The Barefoot Contessa, directed by Joseph Mankiewicz. Bogart's career only ended in 1955 for health reasons. In this year he starred in 4 films: The Left Hand of God, 1955, We're No Angels, The Desperate Hours, and The Harder They Fall. The Harder They Fall, 1956, is Humphrey's final feature film. Although married to 4 times, but until the last marriage with Lauren Bacall, he is often referred to as Baby, Bogart really found happiness. They met during the filming of the movie To Have and Have Not, 1944. They were married a year later on May 21, 1945 in Lucas, Ohio, and moved to a luxury mansion in Holmby Hills, in the middle of a luxury apartment complex near Beverly Hills and Bel Air. Their neighbors have Judy Garland. On January 6, 1949, Lauren Bacall gave birth to a son, Stephen Humphrey Bogart, and helped Bogart finally become a father at the age of 49. On August 23, 1952, the couple had a second child. Second, Leslie Howard Bogart. The baby name was named after British actor Leslie Howard, who was killed in World War II. The relationship between Bogart and Bacall is at the center of the great film noir, The Big Sleep. Bacall later wrote about Bogart, "You have to be awake every time you take him. Every time I think I can take a break and do whatever I want, he gets into trouble." Bogart's response, even if you know him well, quote, in 1950, Bogart and his friend Bill Seaman came to New York's El Morocco nightclub in a drunken state, who ordered 2 piles of stuffed pears weighing 10 kilograms, claiming they were fine. Bogart and Seaman put 2 teddy bears in their chairs and continued to drink. 2 women in the club watched as the pandas reached for them and they immediately fell to the floor. The next morning, city officials wake Bogart up to summon the charge for attacking another. Although he knew the media was frenzied by the news, Humphrey met them quietly in his pajamas and did not shave, he said. The 2 girls kept screaming while no one was shouting. If they fall to the floor, it's because they cannot stand. At the same time, Time noted that the victims indeed had 3 bruises. However, after being summoned to court, these women have admitted to touching the bear, and Judge John R. Starkey has ruled that Bogart only protects his own property, and perhaps this star had been trapped to advertise the nightclub. The accusation Bogart was cancelled. Since the mid-1950s, Bogart's health began to decline. Even on a long-term contract with Warner Brothers, he also joked that he would die before the New Deal came to an end, making Warner Bros. boss Jack Warner angry with Bogart's attorney. In fact, with a history of smoking and drinking, Humphrey Bogart had esophageal cancer, but he did not declare illness nor refuse treatment. It was not until January 1956 that he would go to the doctor to remove the esophagus when it was too late. At the hospital, when Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy visited, Bogart was too weak to go up and down the stairs. Hepburn later described the last time she and Tracy looked at Bogart the night before his death. Spence patted his shoulder and said, "Good night, Bogey." Bogey silently looked at Spence, smiled and said, "Goodbye, Spence." Spence's heart stopped. He understood. Big star Humphrey Bogart died at 2:25 a.m. on January 14, 1957, when he weighed only 36 kilograms and was in a state of deep coma. He died at his home in 232 Mapleton Drive in Holmby Hills, California, near Hollywood. Bogart's funeral was held at the All Saints Episcopal Church with music by his favorite composers, Johann Sebastian Bach and Claude Debussy. John Huston is the eulogist for Bogart. Humphrey Bogart cremation creams are kept at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery in Glendale, California. Buried with him was a small siren in gold, the whistle he gave to his future wife Lauren Bacall before the couple got married. On the whistle carved reminiscent of the film's first joint play, Bogart and Bacall, "If you want anything, Just whistle. If you want anything, just whistle. Humphrey Bogart's handprints and footprints were recorded at the lobby of Grauman's Chinese Theater. And he also had a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.